Yeah, hi there, and these comments are for MC, and I am Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT, and I have 10 tips for you to improve your pronunciation, right? So your goal is to improve your speaking so you can get that magical score of 26 points on the speaking section of the exam, right? However, if you're not speaking clearly, it's going to be difficult for you to reach that goal, am I right? So what I want to do now is I'm going to go ahead and take a minute here, and I'm going to go over some things that I think are very important for you that can help you improve your pronunciation. Okay, so number one, you need to make sure that you have a goal. So what exactly do you want to achieve with your pronunciation? How clearly do you want to sound? That's your first step, is to make that goal. Do you want to sound exactly like a native speaker? Maybe not, right? Having a excuse me. Having a non-native speaker accent is not bad as long as we can understand what you're saying. So I suggest as one of my students that you set the realistic goal of getting 5.1 on the intelligibility post-test in my course in the pronunciation section. That's really your first goal. Remember, you don't need to sound like a native speaker to get a high score. Okay, number two. Try to identify your problem areas. Which areas in your pronunciation are giving you the most trouble? Now, you already know this is good. You wrote them down already. You say that I'm having trouble with the T, the D, the Z, S, the H, and I've been giving you feedback in those areas. So then what you can do is start maybe writing down some words that have these different sounds in those words, and then make some voice recordings. You can even send those to me and I'll evaluate them. So that's the second thing you want to do, is to make sure that you focus on your trouble areas. Remember, pronunciation breaks down into several areas: vowel sounds, consonant sounds, syllable division, and grammatical word endings, word stress, sentence rhythm, and thought groups and blending. That's it. That's it. If you can do really well in all of those areas, you will reach near native speaking fluency. Number three, read out loud and record yourself sometimes. You're already doing this with me. You're doing some independent and integrated speaking practice tests. You're sending those things to me for evaluation. You're also doing some pronunciation practice, so keep doing that. Record yourself often as you're reading out loud materials. You can even do newspapers and things of that nature. Tip number four, listen to music. I've had a lot of students who have improved their pronunciation through music. They listen to a lot of music, and then you really focus on the words that are being sung. Remember, music has good rhythm, good pacing, good tone, and it really teaches you how to enunciate the sounds of American English, right? So that's tip number four. Tip number five is, one of my students recently, he just got a score of 110 out of 120, including 27 on the speaking. So I'm going to give you his tip. He says, put your computer, your phone, everything that you're using, make sure it's all in English, so you're used to doing things in English. So you can even subscribe to different types of English websites or podcasts, maybe even YouTube channels. The key is you're getting a lot of exposure to the language. Now, along this line, I'll give you a suggestion along with tip 5, is one of my students came to the English language program a while back, and his speaking was exceptionally clear. But not just clear, he was fluent, which means he didn't say, hi, how are you? No, he's, hi, how you doing? He spoke very quickly. He had good pacing. He had excellent blending. He was almost a native speaker. And I asked him, I go, no, wait a minute here. What's your secret here? I got other people in my program right here. They're not speaking clearly like you are. So what did you do? And he told me that when he was in Saudi Arabia, he watched a lot of movies, believe it or not. How many? Hundreds of movies. You know, he would watch several movies a week for 1 or 2 year period, and he was able to really speak very, very clearly. So that's tip number 5. Tip number 6, you got to do it. You have to practice with somebody. It's important that you speak English. Find native speakers or near native speakers. You need to practice and talk with other people. That's very, very important. Tip number 7. Watching TV is good. I just mentioned that about movies. You can also watch news, documentary, history, maybe science programs. Really watch what's going on so you can really get used to that. If you can use subtitles for your pronunciation practice, that's good because you're seeing how those words are pronounced. So I think that's important. Let's go to another one. My next tip number 8, is dictionaries. Remember that dictionaries, they typically use the International Phonetics Alphabet. So if you have a question about how something is pronounced, you can certainly use a dictionary to do that. Let's go to number 9. Remember, in this case, that you don't have to be perfect. The goal first is to speak maybe slowly but clearly, and then eventually you can work on speaking faster. So first, focus on being able to pronounce things clearly, and then second, focus on what your speed is. And then the final tip number 10, is as you're doing the practice in my online TOEFL course, remember that those voice recording exercises after each of those lessons in the pronunciation area of my course are specifically designed to help you practice the targeted sounds or the pronunciation patterns in the lesson. So make sure you're practicing those exercises. And as you know, you can send me feedback. You can send speaking or pronunciation feedback daily. So if you want to do some pronunciation practice, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, you could send me some of those voice recordings, and then I will give you some feedback on that. All right? So those are your 10 tips to help you improve your speaking and pronunciation fluency of American English. There you go.